Hi, everybody, and welcome back to LL Sports TV. Hope you're all doing well. Here we go again, people. Another Jake Paul fight, another embarrassing night for boxing. Said this a few times now, and I'm really getting sick of it. Jake Paul, another non event, took on Julio Cesar Chavez in what was basically a non fight, a sparring session. 10 rounds of tediousness, whereby Jake Paul was just I say throwing punches. A lot of them didn't have any zip on them against an opponent that was just compliant. I was just happy to let him pile up points round after round and not do anything in return. I mean, Chavez Jr. actually waited until rounds 9 and 10 to actually start throwing any punches. The crowd were booing well before that. I think he threw something like 60 punches, or sorry, he landed 60 punches in the whole fight. 40 of those came in the last couple rounds. So that tells you how inactive he was. And this was shameful, man. Another embarrassing night for boxing. When are the boxing authorities going to look into this? I mean, if this was a horse race, they'd be announcing that there'd be a steward's inquiry into the lack of effort. I mean, Chavez Jr. for the first 7, 8 rounds did literally nothing. Jake Paul was just throwing punches at him. He was just shelling up, taking them. He wasn't hurt, but he wasn't doing anything. Occasionally, he kept complaining about being hit low. Some of them strayed low, but they would, it was a farce, another farce. I asked the question again: how long are we going to let Jake Paul keep embarrassing the sport like this? And then the man has the audacity after the fight to be calling out world champions. And he actually called out Gervonta Davis, which is a joke, because Gervonta Davis is a lightweight. Jake Paul is boxing a cruiserweight. But then that's how much he holds this sport in contempt. And I really do mean that. He holds boxing in contempt. He's very aware that he is a name and he's making a lot of money. He's basically pimping the sport. That's what Jake Paul is doing. And I find it unacceptable. I really do. And I don't know how he's able to get away with it. Why do people buy tickets for his fights? I don't know, man. I'm so disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself actually in having to watch this. But then, I guess I've got to cover it. It was an event, so I have to cover it. But really and truly, I just feel like I've just wasted my whole time in watching that because that was ridiculous. It was embarrassing. I said before the fight that Jake Paul would win. We all knew he was going to win. I'm not going to take any credit for that. We all knew that Chavez Jr. is a busted flush. He was a world titleist many, many years ago, back in 2011, I think it was. His best win was against Andy Lee in 2012, 13 years ago. The man's had a litany of problems. He's had problems with narcotics, with alcohol. I mean, about a year and a half ago, the man was in rehab. So in a way, I feel a bit sorry for him. He's another Jake Paul victim, another carefully selected opponent. And he came in there tonight and he exercised what we call in boxing the silent contract. He knew he didn't come to win. Jake Paul knew he didn't come to win. The crowd naively bought tickets and supported this event. Looked like there was a good crowd in there. The undercard was decent. I'll give it that. There were some good fights on the undercard, but the main event was just trash, complete trash. And as I said, the whole silent contract was in effect again for a Jake Paul fight. Silent contract meaning that the two fighters have an understanding of what's going to happen. And I'm stopping short of saying it was a fix, but in boxing we do have that term. It's called the silent contract, where the opponent knows his place. And that's exactly what I saw tonight. Chavez Jr. knew his place. He was getting well paid for tonight. He's probably going to parlay this into another fight. He said after the fight that he intends to carry on fighting. So, yeah, it is what it is. But like I said, it's another embarrassing night for boxing. And as for the commentators, they were trying to hype this up. I heard one of the commentators say that, your favorite fighter, he didn't fight the best fights when he was coming up. Yeah, of course that's the case. But come on now. The last fight that Jake Paul had was against a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, totally fleeced the public, and he's done it again tonight. And he's been doing it several times, fighting former MMA fighters and social media influencers. The one time he did step up and fight a real fighter, that was Tommy Fury, and he lost that fight. And Tommy Fury is really a part-time boxer. And unbelievably, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's been said that after tonight's so-called win, that he may enter the WBA rankings, so he could be eligible to fight for a world title. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this. This guy, I don't know how he's getting away with it, but he's fleecing the sport, man. And I really do mean that. He's fleecing the sport. And that's why I've got a real problem with Jake Paul. Because it's not just what he's doing inside the ring. The whole Jake Paul brand is actually bad for boxing. I've said in a previous video that I did that he does do some good things for boxing in terms of what he's done for women's boxing. But in terms of his ring activity and the fights he's had, I'm sorry, it's just a total farce. And I don't see how anybody can convince me otherwise. I'm not seeing nothing from him that suggests he's a legitimate world title contender. So how he can enter the rankings off the back of so-called fights against Mike Tyson and this one tonight, which people are saying is his best win, I just don't get it. How can that happen? I mean, am I living in some kind of alternative universe? What's happening here? You got fighters that are, working themselves from the ground up, getting in gyms every day, slaving away, working hard, taking all the hard knocks, taking fights, and they're not able to get opportunities. And you get this guy just coming through the back door, brandishing his wallet, taking advantage of the sport, pimping the sport, fighting washed up MMA fighters, former fighters, and now we're hearing that he's about to enter the WBA rankings and could be in line for a world title shot. Absolute farce. He couldn't get away with it in any other sport, and that's what makes me so mad. I know I'm ranting a little bit here, but I've got to speak it as I see it, man. Total farce. There was nothing I could really take away from this. It was I wouldn't even say it was a glorified sparring session. It was a sparring session. None of the two fighters were marked up afterwards to suggest that there'd been a fight. Like I said, Chavez Jr. almost deliberately waited until round 9, 8, 9, and 10 before he started throwing any punches. Obviously, his gas tank wasn't there, and it was just a farce. Like I said, it was total rubbish. And that's all I'm going to say about that, man. I'm just so disillusioned and disappointed that Jake Paul is able to get away with it. Somebody needs to put a stop to this. He needs to fight somebody who's going to come to fight. Yeah. At the bare minimum, somebody that's going to offer up a legitimate challenge. Otherwise, boxing should turn their back on this because it's simply unacceptable for the sport. That's how I feel about it. So that's all from me. Jake Paul, so-called wins another tedious sparring session against an opponent that was just there to survive. And he's going to walk off into the sunset with millions of dollars. He's going to chat his usual rubbish. He's going to start calling out champions, legitimate boxers. Embarrassing night for the sport for me. But anyway, listen, that's all. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, you know how it goes. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.